rolling. Roll. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about top 24 books from 2024. I have a lot of recommendations for you, so grab a drink and let's get to chatting. It was so hard. I read around 123 books in 2024 and it was so hard for me to select top 24. The order in which I'm telling you guys about these books is not related in any way in terms of the ranking or something like that. I'm just telling you guys whatever books comes on my list. So, but all of these are the books that I loved in 2024. Even if they were not 5 star for me, they were still very close to 5 stars. The first one that we started off our air with was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Now, this was the first book that I read in 2024. Then, after this, there was, I think, the book which was for one of the side characters that was powerful, and is a second book also out for it as well that's called Reckless. And I think third one is going to be out this year that's going to be called Fearless. I've already read the first and second. I have not read Powerful. Basically follows Kai and Payton. It has like elites and ordinaries where the world is divided between the two, where the elites have like a powers and ordinaries do not have any powers. They get banished from the society by the king, and then Payton somehow ends up in a competition where Kai is also a part of it, and obviously Kai is, up higher and he's an elite. And if you don't care about any of that, just read it for Kai. That's all I gotta say. But if you have been on BookTok or Bookstagram, you would know that people are mad about Kai, and there's a reason to be mad about him. Okay. Second book that I love in 2024 is Manacled by Stanley Yun. This book follows Draco and Hermione story after the Harry Potter is dead in this fan fiction. And there's a war going on between Draco, Hermione, and Voldemort, and Draco is on the good side, Hermione's side, and that's what you get to see. You have watched Handmaid's Tale, I think that's on Hulu. Book is a mixture of Harry Potter and The Handmaid's Tale. And on a side note, if you have not watched that show, you really should. That this show is amazing. I loved every second of it. It's a long book. It's almost 900 pages, but it's a really good book and it will keep you hooked, and you will end up falling in love with Draco because this book redeemed him badly. Then the third book that I have on my list is Twisted Emotions by Cora Riley. This book is from a series that's called the Camorra Chronicles, and it's like an entire book series that you have to go through. I read the entire series for the brothers, but there's like another interrelated series as well that you can read if you want. Larry Reeds has done like a whole reading blog on that. If you want to watch, you can go to her channel and watch it. But from the series that I read for the brothers, the most amazing one for me was Twisted Emotions, and that was the second book. It's of Nino and Kiara, and basically it says Twisted Emotions because he just can't feel anything. He is someone who's just numb. He does not have any emotions. He can't feel happy, he can't feel sad, he can't feel angry. He just does not feel anything. And then since it's the mafia world, Kiara's family kind of get her married to Nino, and then it follows their story on how they deal with it and how their relationship blooms because obviously he can't feel anything, so she has to make him learn on how to deal with her. You know, that was an amazing read. Then the next book is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This book follows Noah and Ariana and also Chase. This book kind of has a trope that I not always line towards, like a love triangle, but it's a really good book. It was a straight 5 stars for me. Friends to Lovers, and it follows a storyline of Ariana who's in love with her brother's best friend, but that best friend does not really feel the same for her, and he kind of messes up with her emotions. And then enters the basketball team coach, team captain, who's in their college, and then her friendship starts to bloom with Noah, and then it follows their storyline on how everything, um, pans out, and it was such a beautiful story. I love that. The next book is more of a series. It's called Soul's Triology by Harley Lurks, and it follows three different books of three different couples. It's a storyline between a demon and a human girl, and each book follows a different couple. But it also follows a bigger plot on all three books as well. So you can't read only one book. If you're reading this, you will need to go through all of them in order. But if you don't care about the plot or the bigger plot that there is, you can read it as a standalone as well. The first book for that is Her Soul for to Take. Her Soul to Take, that follows Leon and Dry. Dry is basically a YouTuber, and she mistakenly summons a demon. That's the storyline. That's how it starts. And then we have second book, that's Juniper and Zane. So in this, something happens to Juniper, and she makes a deal with the demon to kind of get her revenge. Then the third book, we have Everly and Callum. Everly is a witch, and Callum is like a higher level demon. He is helping her and also getting the revenge that he wants from someone in town. It's a small town story. It all revolves around in a small town, or small town में ये सारी चीजें हो रही but it's very fun. The next book that we have in the list is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. This book is so good, so good. It's long. It's almost, I think, around 500 to 600 pages. But it follows Raphael and Ali. It has it has a boss and employee trope and the nanny trope. Ellie is a songwriter, and she is, back in her town due to some of the issues that she is facing. And Raphael basically hires her as a nanny for his son, and they also go on a road trip. It also touches on the topics as well, so you should definitely give that one a read. Then we have All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. This one follows Aurora and Road. I have also talked about this book in one of my other videos because I loved it so much. This follows Aurora, who's a songwriter, and she wants to get away from her city life and goes to a small town where she meets Rose, and she's basically her tenant. This is not grumpy ex Sunshine because she's not really Sunshine because she has been through shit. But and he's not like as grumpy as well. So, but it has like that kind of a vibe, Grumpy X Sunshine. Then To Hate Adam Corner by Ella Mays. These are, I think, two books. The first one is To Love Jason Thorne. That one was really good as well. That's the first book in the series, and the second one was To Hate Adam Corner. I loved this one so much. So this book basically follows Adam and Lucy, and Adam is a divorced award-winning celebrity who moves the next door and with his son. The love at first sight for Lucy, but when she tries to befriend him, there comes a misunderstanding that she's trying to do something to his son, and he sends her to a jail. And then the story pans out from there, but it's really good. It's so fun, and I was laughing throughout the book. There's also this one quote. This is like the only quote that I've written over here for some reason, but there's this one quote from this specific book that's, I deserve to have someone to dance with me with no music. How beautiful is that? Moving on, the ninth book. Oh, we are at ninth. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. So the ninth book that we have on our list is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. There are three books in this series: Part of Your World, um, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer. I love each of those books so much, so much. Like, these books were the introduction for me to Abby Jimenez books, and she did not disappoint. She did not disappoint at all. I loved each. I loved all three books so much. But Yours Truly specifically is a notch higher for me compared to the other two. It basically follows Brianna and Jacob. And Brianna is a divorced doctor who found out that her husband was cheating on her. And then she's trying to move on from there, and she's also dealing with her mental health issues, who had trust issues and everything. Jacob is the new doctor that comes to her hospital and is basically fighting for the position or the promotion that she wants. And she is looking for a kidney for her brother, for her very sick brother. And he ultimately ends up giving her brother his kidney. And the most beautiful thing that I loved about this book was that they literally were talking in letters. Like he wrote her a letter explaining that, why is he not able to talk to her, because he's kind of a person who does not like having social interactions. Um, so that's why it's difficult for him to talk to her in person. But then he writes her a letter and just writes down everything that he's feeling, and that's how their conversation in between the letters start. And also his ex-girlfriend is marrying his brother, so that's kind of a different trauma that he's dealing with. This book was so amazing. I loved it. Then we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is an entire series of campus series by her, and I have read the entire series and I love the entire series so much. But I love the first book a little bit more. Garrett Graham and Hannah are on a different level for me. This is a hockey romance. How the story pans out is that Hannah has a crush on someone else, but she's very shy, so she does not know how to talk to her crush. So she makes a deal with the team captain of the hockey team of the college. He has to pass few of his courses to be able to make sure that he's able to secure the team captain for the college. So that's why they make a deal where he will teach her on how to step out of her comfort zone for her crush to notice her, and she helps him with the studies. That's how it pans out. But it's such a great story. I love this entire series. I did not write down the entire series over here, but the entire series is definitely a must read. And we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I was just talking about this with you guys. I thought I did not write it down over here, but looks like I did. Just for the Summer is the story of Justin and Emma, who have kind of a curse that whoever they ends up dating breaks up with them, and the next person that they date is the one. So Justin gets on Reddit and then he is like that, I have this problem and I don't understand what's happening. Where Emma sees his Reddit and then responds to him that, oh, I have the same problem. Whoever I end up with breaks up with me, and the next person that they find is the one for them. So then they make a deal to kind of meet for the summer and date each other. So in their mind, they're thinking that if we date each other and then we break up, their curse will be broken, and the next person that they will find will be the one for them. But they end up being something. It touches on very sensitive topics as well. This is one thing about Abby Jimenez books that I really love, that it gives you the romance and the storyline and the plot and everything that you need. It touches on the sensitive topics like mental health. It touches on the sensitive topics like, how, like, for example, Justin, for some reason, his mother is going to jail and he has to take care of his little brother and sisters, and he has to grow up before it's his time, before it's his age. Let's take a break. I'm tired. I've been speaking for 2.5 hours now, or more than that. Water break. I don't have water. Water. So the next book that we have, book number 12 in our top 24 books of 2024, is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This book is so good. So good. So good. And so good. This entire series, in fact, this Chestnut Spring series, Rose Hill series, there is something in this series. I don't know what is Elsie mixing in these books, but these books are addiction. By the way, if you did not know, Chestnut Spring series is basically follows a group of cowboy, small town kind of a situation. And in Rose Hill series, these series are all single dads. Single dads. Wild Eyes basically follows Weston and Skylar. Skylar is a top celebrity singer, and she has issues in the city. with her parents and everyone controlling her, and there are multiple other things that were topics that were touched in this book. So she wants to get out of that for a while, and then she just goes to a small town where we have Weston, um, who basically meets her at the side of a road when she's trying to take a selfie with a bear. There was another cute thing about this book was that he basically makes her stop using her phone, because obviously she's a singer, she's a celebrity, so she's always on her phone, and she's always on the social media, so he just takes it away. And she has a habit of checking her emails, so he sends her emails every day that what's going on, or what is the new thing that she should be looking forward to for the day. That was the cutest thing ever. So if you have not read this series, or if you have not read this book, you are doing a crime. Save yourself. Read it right now. One thing about me that you need to know is that I can't remember character names. I will remember the storyline, the plot line, for I won't remember a character name until unless I know in front of me कि अच्छा कौन था. The next book that we have is Funny Story by Emily Henry. There was nothing funny about this book. Okay. In Funny Story, we have Daphne and Miles, who basically get dumped by their respective partners, and their respective partners are ending up getting married, like planning a wedding. Okay, so it's a funny story in a kind of a way that when this happens, when Daphne's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend breaks up with her, then she has nowhere to go. Then she gets in touch somehow with Miles, because obviously Miles' girlfriend left him for Daphne's now ex-boyfriend. And then he offers her to just get stay in his place, and that's how their story starts. From strangers to friends to lovers, they pretend that they are dating. So it's a fake dating trope as well, because they pretend they are dating in front of their respective exes who are now getting married, and it gets very complicated. So you should read it to find out what happens. Then the next books that we have in our list, I have put both of them together to count them as one, because they are from a series again. It's A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Both of these books were amazing, and I listened to the dramatized audio while reading this book. So that if you have not tried the graphic dramatized audio that's available on Audible, you definitely should. For the Aatar, and in fact even for Fourth Wing, I've just started listening to the dramatized audio, and it's so good. You just really get into the book when you are hearing those little sounds as well. It just gets to your head. So that's how I was reading the Aatar series, and I loved it. Loved it. Recent and Farah are the it couple. Storyline kind of follows that Farah is a human, and the other people are the fairies, and it's like the other side of the wall, and somehow she ends up getting to the other side of the wall, because she's trying to get food for her family, and she gets in trouble, and that's how the story pans out. I have just read the first three books as of now. That is A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Mist and Fury. The other book that they have, the fifth book, is A Court of Silver Flames. That's for Nesta and Cassian, which I will be reading soon. And there's another book, the fourth book as well, A Court of Forest and something. That's just like a little holiday book. Then we have Love Theoretically by Ellie Hazelwood. This book follows Elsie and Jack. Elsie is basically a physicist, right? That's what she is. Yeah, theoretical physicist. And by day she is not doing well in her career, so she also is offering services or working for another company where she offers services as a fake girlfriend. Just so if someone needs someone to go to dinner with them because their family does not shut up about them having a girlfriend, then she's like there. She ends up being a fake girlfriend for someone because he has to go to his parents' house to kind of just like a show face. Um, and there she meets his older brother, who later down the line is someone that would turn into kind of her boss. She's theoretical physicist. He's like practical physicist. And he wrote a paper back in the day when he was like 17, 18 about theoretical physicists not being as important as practical ones. So, there's a banter, a lot of in terms of that as well. So, love that. The banter was top notch. The next book that we have in the list is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is my favorite book. Favorite book. Follows Nora and Charlie. Nora is basically a book publisher, and Charlie is a book editor. And then both of them are hardcore, in their professions. The book starts off with the first meeting, and the first meeting was a disaster. Then years later, they meet again, and how it all blooms. It was so good to see. And even in Book Lovers, the topics that Emily touched in terms of on how Nora, fixed her relationship with her sister, or how she dealt with her mother's death when they were young, how she's still dealing with it, how Charlie is, being there for her and just accepting her for who she is. She does not have to change herself. And then, even while doing that, there are some insecurities that Charlie has as well, which are touched. So it was a beautiful book. I loved Book Lovers. Like, this is, I I can't take hate for Book Lovers. Like, इस लिस्ट में I think एक दो बुक्स ऐसे होंगे जिसके बारे में if you guys hate on it, I will be like, अच्छा ठीक है कोई बात नहीं. But there are some books which if you're hating on, we can't be friends. The next book that we have on the list is Latte Darling by S.J. Tilly. This book follows Edsel and Maddie. How this book starts as is that Maddie is basically, set in her career. She has her own coffee shop. She goes on a dating app and then, is trying to just find someone for herself, where she ends up connecting with someone and goes to a bar to meet him. But instead of him, his dad comes in and then he tells her that the guy that she spoke to is basically underage and he was not even supposed to be on the dating app. And then he sets things straight. And then they just then hit off and end up talking. And this book was very fun read. It was short, it was sweet, it was good, you know. This book was like a good buffer in between like a heavy books. When you're reading heavy books, then you just kind of need something like in between jo is just like fun, mindless read. So this book is good for that. If you're looking for this book to change your life, it won't. Then we have Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth. This book was kind of giving the vibes of Twisted Games by Anna Huang, because she is the pageant princess. She is someone who just won a pageant, and then he gets hired as her bodyguard because she has to travel all around the continent or around the world for her shows and everything. And that's how the story pans out. Then we have Play Along by Liz Stormford. If you have not read Windy City series, you are literally missing out on a lot, because Windy City series is amazing. And Play Along follows basically Kennedy and Isaiah is a professional baseball player, and Kennedy is the only doctor that's on the team, and you know, he has been crazy about her for the longest time, but she was in a relationship with someone else. So he did not really pursue anything, but then something happens due to which her engagement breaks off, and then he's like, there's our chance. So this has like a fake dating or fake marriage, because something happens and they end up getting married. The next book that we have is Between the Lines by Olivia Haley, because this follows like a plot line of how people deal with things that happen after the 15 minutes of fame that they get in the reality TV shows, like, shows that we see on Netflix, like Love Island or Love is Blind and all that stuff. And how they deal with it, how it gets manipulated on the TV, and there's a lot of things that are not shown, that happens behind the scene. This was a very different topic that I have not seen in any of the books as of yet. She's also someone who has been through this, because of one of the shows that his company is making. And then he, later joined on the company, and he has to get his now memoir written to kind of rebuild the image of his company. And now she is someone who's writing a memoir for him to be able to um, rebuild the image of his company. And it has angst, it has banter, it has everything that you need from a good book. Oh wow, we are down by 20 books. Just 4 books remaining. That's a good job. I thought this video was never going to end. The next book that we have in the list is The Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This book basically follows Annie and Will. It's also in a small town, and Annie is kind of like a good girl, and Will is a bodyguard of one of her friends, and she kind of has a habit of not being able to speak because she gets nervous on dates. Her friend suggests that how about that you get courses from Will, who will help you out in order to make you comfortable for you to be able to talk on your dates, because that's something that you have a problem with. And he has a lot of experience, so he can help you with this. That's how it starts, and that's the book about. But it was fun. It was a very good read. I rated this 5 stars because I had a lot of fun while reading this. Then we have Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Now, this is one of the books in the series, the last book in the Chestnut Spring series, the one that I was just telling you guys about with the Rosal series, that when we discussed Wild Eyes. This book, particularly in the Chestnut Spring series, got a lot of negative feedback when it was released. But for me personally, this is the last book of the series and I really loved it. So this story basically revolves around Beau and Bailey. Beau is an ex-military hero with the burned past. He has a lot of trauma and he's dealing with it, and he's not talking to anyone in his family, and everyone is after him to get a girlfriend. And Bailey is a shy girl in his town who he has never noticed before, or he has not talked to before. And then their paths just collide, and they make a bet that Bailey's last name does not matter. And then she's like that my last name does matter because her family has like a messed up situation, and anyone who hears her family name, they know about the thievery and everything stuff like that. So she tries to stay away from her family name, and he's like that no one cares about it, and she's like no, they do. So he offers her his last name and asks her to be the fake fiancée, and to prove a point that no one cares about her last name. And then he's also like that everyone will be off my back to get a girlfriend, so it's a win-win situation for both of us. So that's how it starts out. A fake engagement, fake fiancé. They have like a age gap as well. I think around 10, 10, 12 years. But it's not like that she's teenager. She's in around early 20s, and he's around early 30s. Yeah. But this was a really good read. I loved this. I don't know why anyone hates Hopeless from the Chestnut Springs. And the last 2 books, we are down to the last 2 books. One is going to be a trilogy, monster trilogy from Rena Kent, that follows Krill and Sasha. I love that trilogy. Um, I think from Rena Kent, that's like one book that I loved. Oh, that and Wow Deception trilogy. Love that. Love these two. More than the God of Fury and God of War and God of Malice. It follows Sasha and Krill. Sasha is someone who is pretending to be a man and is in the army. And Krill is her boss in the army. And she and is also a mafia. So it's an army ex-mafia. Um, and then something happens where he has to go back to his town, and she also thinks that he killed, or he or his father killed her family back in the day, so she's also there for revenge. And then she ends up being his bodyguard. Can you imagine? She's his bodyguard. That's it. That's all you need to know, and you need to read it. That's it. I'm not saying much. And now the last book on our top 24 Let's have some drum roll. Now, the last book that I loved in 2024, which I still think about to this date, is That Divorce by Nicole Strijzar. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, but you can see it here. I love this book so much. It follows Gen Z and Chris. So Gen Z and Chris were basically high school sweethearts, and then they got married, and then they, had good couple of years. But after a couple of years, their marriage goes just down the drain because is just stops paying attention to her. He is, not happy with anything that she's doing. He does not even remember what she says or does not pay attention and all that stuff. And then one day she's just like, enough is enough. And then she asks for a divorce. For the first or second time that she says it, he does not take it seriously because he's like, huh. And then goes to another topic. And then she just packs up her bag and then she just leaves. And then he's like, oh shit, what's happening? Then we see him grow. Then we see him ask for forgiveness. There was this one scene that is not really a spoiler. No, it's not a spoiler. He's just after her and she's not listening at all. Like she's done. She's like, we are not doing this again. We are done. And then she gets in, a new boyfriend, and she is exploring new relationships. And when he realizes that, oh shit, I have lost her for good, there's no going back from here, he literally writes a letter. He writes a whole letter to her new boyfriend to tell him on how to deal with few of the things that no one knows about, but he does. No one. I'm sorry about the lighting that just changed, but we are going to continue and wrap this video up quickly. So he writes a whole letter to her new boyfriend to tell him that how to deal with certain things that she does and why she does them, and to not get angry and to not make the mistakes that he did and all that stuff. He redeems himself, and that book was lovely. If you have not read it, then you're definitely missing out. So that is going to be all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have read any of these books, comment down below. If any of these books caught your attention, comment down below and let me know your thoughts. So stay for a while, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.